everybody, and welcome to a great episode of Let's Chat with Courtney Hall. I have a very special guest with me, Larry. Hi, Larry.
I'm good. Nice to meet you.
Good, good. Okay, so let's talk about your books that you have, because you have a couple of books out, and I really want to share with everybody what you have out. So let's talk about your first one that we were talking about before, which was the Addicted to Ecstasy.
Well, that's not my first one, but the first one is called Smiling Through the Pain, but I'm doing some re-edits to it, but right now I'm focusing on the other side of ecstasy and the power of achievement. But today we can talk about, the other side of ecstasy.
Yeah, to the other side of ecstasy. So talk about that a little bit more. What is it about? Some of your experiences. Talk about that.
Well, the clear-cut message in the other side of ecstasy is trying to get young people and adults too to understand that certain drugs have a dangerous effect to them, but most people out in the streets, they always talk about the good things about drugs, but they never talk about the downside. So I'm here to talk about what happened to me and what ecstasy did to me, and it gave it gave me a pretty bad outcome, and I still to this day persevere from it. I also want to talk about that, this drug was an altercation to give me schizophrenia. So these are the things that I fight against still to this day, but I try to, just keep pushing and, to help everyone understand that, drugs are not what you think they are. You know what I mean? That it's like the peer pressure. There's peer pressure that comes with that, and my main message is for young people to understand that's in middle school and high school is that it's okay to say no. You have to stand firm on what you believe in and just say no.
Right. It's okay not to follow the crowd. Now, I want to go back to you actually being introduced to ecstasy. So what is that story? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this was like shortly after high school. I was living in a small town called Killeen, Texas, and I was staying with a group of friends, and one of them kept asking me, have I ever tried, ecstasy before? We got on that subject, and I was like, no. But the way he made it seem, he made me actually, want to try it. So that night I went out to the club, and I met a guy in a corner store, and I asked him, I said, where I can get an ecstasy pill from? And he looked around and he reached in his pocket, and he said, yeah, here you go. And so I was so focused, which, peer pressure is what it does. I was so focused, and I went back to my apartment, and I tried it, and after like 45 seconds, everything just, everything changed. It was like, it was an exciting feeling, like everybody said, like the guy said, but 2 weeks later after that, I was still getting the same effects from the high, but I didn't take anything. So that's when I found out that there was a chemical imbalance going on.
So when you said you were still getting the same effects, so you weren't taking the drug at all, but you were still feeling what you were feeling as if you were taking the drug.
Right.
Wow. So do you believe that was like a homemade type of?
Well, yeah, that's what most people say. After they hear the story, they'd be like, well, somebody probably made that, because most of them are made. And sometimes I heard someone say that people put other drugs in to say, okay, let me see, I want to get them, a little bit more higher, because they want to sell the product. So yeah.
Wow. So fast forward to a little bit later, how did you overcome some of the struggles that you went through?
Well, the middle part of my life, I was, in and out of a lot of different hospitals, like mental health hospitals, and like over 15 times, and throughout all of that, it helped me understand that I'm a very strong person, and I have to persevere through a lot of stuff, and overcome a lot of things that goes on around me, throughout the stigma that's according to mental health. So I just try to be a strong advocate for people who deal with, stress and schizophrenia and stuff like that.
Right.
Let them know that, you are gifted, you are talented, and you can be somebody in life.
So where can we purchase your book, On the Other Side of Ecstasy?
It's on lulu.com.
Okay.
Lulu.
Well, I'm definitely going to purchase it. Like I was telling you off camera, I'm definitely going to purchase it and read it with my family, and you should too. Now, I want to get into your new book. Now, tell me a little bit about that, because I know you have a new book out, so I want to know.
Yeah, I started on this book in 2017, right I think it was right before I finished The Other Side of Ecstasy, and I started it, and just this year I finished it, and I did all the publications myself, but I sent it off to get it published, for things of that nature. And but it's mainly about being inspired. That's why I call it the power of achievement, because I want people to know what it feels like to complete and accomplish something. Because when I first wrote my first book, Smiling Through the Pain, I was in a tight squeeze and I didn't see no direction. But the moment I published the book and it got accepted into libraries, that's when I understood that the power of achievement is the most important thing. Like to know that, like, so many of us, live our everyday lives. We pay bills, we do whatever we have to do, but we also deal with negative people. We also deal with people who have toxic agendas and trying to just fight through life and trying to be somebody. But then you have somebody on the other side saying, what is he doing? Why? How is he doing that? You're not going to do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I wrote that book to speak to different people in various many ways.
So what is your goal with writing these novels? What's your number one goal? What do you want to do? What are your hopes for these books?
To be heard, to be respected as a person, and to be an advocate, out of Houston, to get a message across, and also to possibly become a #1 seller out of my books. But lately, in the past couple of years, I've been wanting to move on to film writing and TV series, because I'm like I can touch every genre of writing, but I've only accomplished a couple of them because I'm in the process. But film writing will probably be the next phase for me, and a lot of people don't really know about me here because I'm not in California and New York, because those are the other places that are more popular when it comes to that talent. But so do you feel like you have to be in New York and California to get your message heard, or do you just have to be persistent? You have to be persistent. Okay, because a lot of times I thought, even growing up, I was like, as a dancer, I need to be in New York. They have all of the the great studios. But learning now, I think it's more of being consistent and persistent with what you're doing. And I think what you're doing now, which is putting out novels, is amazing. Now, you sell your books in Barnes & Noble as well? Yeah, the online stores, okay. Barnes & Noble and Amazon, but mainly I focus through Lulu.com. How did you get on Barnes & Noble? Well, they Lulu.com, they're connected to online retailers. So what they'll do is publish your work, and then they'll expand it through distributions, and then they'll advertise it. You'll get less of $1 on there as their website, but they'll still put it out there for you. What is success for you? Success for me? To achieve something that you never thought you could. To master something that people had no idea you could do it. But it's something you've always dreamed of doing, and you don't put it on the back burner. It's something that you find in your life as you proceed, constantly go through with it. You never give up on it. You never give up on it. I feel like I'm just so glad that you're here and you're talking about your story. Going back to you having schizophrenia, it's kind of like, what do you tell people, or what would you tell someone with schizophrenia? What would you say to them? Well, first off, I would tell that person who's ready to give up. There's many people out there like that. We just always hide our fears and our worries, and because the reason why we hide them, these people hide them, is because people judge them so much. You know what I mean? But so I would tell them to, look at me. I'm here, and I'm gonna go further, and I do this for you, that person who's in their room and ready to commit suicide and want to give up, because I've been there. So I would tell them, just keep fighting, keep persevering, and find something that you love to do, and don't give up on it. So what's next for you? Is it another book? Is it
writing a movie? What's next for you? What can we look forward to?
I'm working on something right now. I don't know if this person wants me to put it out, but I'm working with the person right now, and we're gonna write a film. I'm gonna write a film for him, and it's gonna be my first film.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be my first film. It's gonna be probably about an hour or 2 hour film. Yeah, and they live right here in Houston. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, where can we find you on all social media platforms?
Facebook, you can find me at Larry Smith III, and Instagram, you can find me at New York Times bestseller, and there's an underscore underneath each word.
Okay,
New York Times bestseller.
And then underscore underneath each word. Well, thank you so much, Larry, for coming out. It's been awesome. Anything else you need to tell us? Because you're going to come back anyway. I want to have you come back and talk about everything that you're doing. But before you leave, anything else? Any last words?
I do want to say to all the people out there who are suffering with mental health illness, shout out to their parents who put up with, because they have something that they deal with, and it's according to the person that they're raising. They have to take on that stress. So I take my hat off to them for being so strong and being there for their child.
That's awesome. Well, once again, tell us your Instagram page and all your social media platforms.
My Facebook is Larry Smith III, and my Instagram is New York Times bestseller, underscore underneath each word. New York Times bestseller.
Well, thank you for watching, and thank you for coming, and I hope to see you back for another episode of Let's Chat with Courtney Hall.
Thank you.
Like watching sunshine through the rain, like finding joy in the midst of pain, like wearing my heart proud even though it's stained. I accept everything that I can't change. All I can be is grateful, blessed to wake up another day, blessed to put a smile on my face. Ain't no time to stress, what a waste. There's so much to be grateful for. Blessed to be a blessing again. Blessed to call you my best friend.